Hi, Dr. Fortman. How are you?
I'm just great. And how are you?
Doing fine. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So, you've got your own TV show too, yeah?
Yes, it's called Relationship Matters TV, and it's on the E360 network.
The E360 network. Okay.
Yes. Hmm.
Where can
And
people
soon to
find
be
that?
coming on the JD3 network.
Where can people find that?
Well, if they go on Facebook and they type in Relationship Matters TV, it will take you right to my show. And also, I am on YouTube, and they can either type in Relationship Matters TV show or type in Dr. Janice Hooker Fortman.
Okay. What sort of things do you talk about on your show?
We talk about all kinds of relationships, relationships with yourself, a relationship with your spouse, your business partners, inanimate objects. We're going to start talking about that. Ladies, we have relationships with our shoes and can't get rid of them. And men, you have that relationship with that ratty old chair that you love to sit in. So, all kinds of relationships because life is about relationships.
So, you are a doctor of what is your area of expertise?
Educational leadership. I am a retired educator. Well, you know what? Not really, because I still educate, but I worked in the Chicago public school systems as a teacher and as an administrator, and then I retired.
Can we touch on that for a second? Just
Sure.
your career? Because I think education is in a lot of people's mind at the moment, particularly with COVID. And some areas, the schools are shut down. What do you think about K through two? What grades did you teach?
I taught special ed and also I taught fine arts in the elementary schools and in the high schools.
Oh, okay. All right. So K through 12, you were
Yeah, yeah.
involved in that. What do you think about K through 12 online learning? What do you think about that?
It's difficult because my son is still teaching. He also teaches special ed, and it's difficult for children to maintain and concentrate for any length of time online. It's very difficult. It's unfortunately it's necessary right now because I really think it's too early for children to go back to school because I just think it's too early. I mean, COVID is still ravaging the nation, children, adults, and even though it's difficult online, it's just something that's necessary.
Well, there are these people that are advocating doing this permanently, even once COVID disappears.
No, I don't know. No, I don't believe in that. I listen to my son telling me that his parents have to go to work and his students might turn it on and then they know that they just have it on they turn off the camera and they've either gone back to bed, gone back to sleep, um, doing whatever they can do without really being online, being in the classroom and participating. And he said it's just difficult for them to maintain that concentration for a long length of time. And unless they really change it considerably, the way they present the content, I just don't see that happening. Plus, kids need to socialize. They need that.
Well, that was my two biggest arguments with this is that number one, the social aspect of school. It gets the kids out of the house, gets them in a new environment for 6 hours a day, socializing with their own age group. And the second thing is what you brought up. Most families these days, both parents work.
Hmm.
And if the kids are going to be home doing school, somebody's going to have to stay home with them.
Correct.
And a lot of families, they can't afford to lose one job. They've got to both be
Correct.
working. And yeah, I think online learning is fine for university level. I think that's
Yes.
great. But K through 12, no, I disagree.
Same here. Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got a book out called The Secret to How Not to Throw Mama from the Train. I got a
Yes.
kick out of that title. Um, Tell me about your book.
My book is about the challenges in the adult daughter aging mother relationship. And I wrote this book, of course, because as I grew older and my mom grew older, we were having all kinds of challenges. And I just couldn't understand what was going on. And I thought it was just me and my situation. But the more I talked to different women, the more I found out that this is something that's common and not uncommon. And then I started watching movies that would talk, you would see the mother, the adult daughter, and the mother in the relationship, and they would have arguments, disagreements, or whatever, and it was always laughed off. But it's really something that's serious. I also really discovered that it was the way that we communicate. And my mother said that to me. I asked her one day, why is it that everything I say, you take it the wrong way? And she said, well, you know what, Janice, it's the way you look at me, it's your body language, it's your voice, it's all of that. And I started thinking, is this the reason why we are having these difficulties? So I just did some research. I talked to women of all cultures, and I found out that this was something that was common. And I was also told you need to write a book to help women to not throw their mamas from the train, to learn how to communicate. To learn how to continue to have that loving relationship that you had with your mom when you were just a little girl.
Well, was this something that got worse as you both got older, or was this something that was always there?
Well, we always kind of bumped heads, but
Which
I
is
think,
normal. I mean, I think that's fairly normal in families,
yeah,
yeah?
with two women,
Yeah.
and as that mother daughter thing, as you get older, the roles kind of reverse in that now you think you're the mom and now you know it all and your mother doesn't know anything. And as she got older and I got older, it did get worse. And one of the reasons I found out later is because I didn't recognize the signs of early dementia. So that was a factor that also had to do with relationship with my mom.
It's funny you bring up dementia. I was speaking to a doctor, neurosurgeon in LA a few weeks ago. And one of the things that we discussed was you said that you didn't recognize the signs, but it's almost impossible for the person who's suffering from it to recognize the signs. They have no idea. And a lot of times, if you bring it up, they'll fight you on that.
Oh yes, oh yes, definitely, definitely, because they don't recognize it. And I think what happens also is that feeling of they're uncomfortable, they don't know what's going on, and then they strike out to the person that's closest to them. And I found out that that was an issue also with a lot of women and their moms.
So, is this just women or is it men too? I think men could fall into this too with their fathers and sons. Yeah.
And I've been told, when are you going to write a book about the relationship between fathers and sons? And I had to write the book according to what was happening to me. But I guess I could because I've been asked to really write that book. But then I was also started looking into the difference between an adult son and the mom. And it's a totally different kind of relationship. Men have a tendency to say, okay, mom, whatever you say, and just, it's smooth over. Women, it's totally different. So I don't know if it's biological. I looked, I, my thing was, why isn't there a lot of research into this? Because this relationship affects everything. All aspects of our lives, it affects it.
Well, that's true, and I think many, many people are going to have to deal with a aging parent at some point.
Yes,
And it's not easy to approach things because I think on one hand, your parents still, they look at you as their kid no matter how old you are and how old they are. That just never
exactly.
changes. And sometimes it's difficult for them to let go and switch
Yes.
roles with you, right?
Yes, 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 yes. And well, I don't have a daughter. I have a son, but I still, and he's in his late 40s, but I have to catch myself in that he's an adult. And even though I'm the mom, he's an adult. And I look back at my, the way my mother and I had our relationship and how we communicate with each other, and a lot of things that I resented, like, mom, I'm grown. Why are you telling me this? But it is hard for women, a lot of women, to let go of that mothering type role. I guess that's just within us because we are nurturers. But when you talk about that, my mom passed in 2017. And right now, I always like to put this in because people don't believe it. Um, I'm 79 years old. I'll be 80 December 5th of this year. When
Wow,
she,
no, I don't believe it.
I like to say that.
You
uh,
look amazing.
oh, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you. It's genetics. But I was in my 70s, when she passed. And I thought, you still trying to tell me what to do? She was 98. And
Wow.
I thought, you know, is this a problem also? But yes, it is. And I talk about it in my book. I talk about the fact how we as adult daughters have to remember that they're still our moms and that sometimes they just cannot help that. But to learn to accept it and to learn to see what all of this is coming from so that you won't want to throw them from the train. And the favorite, I just like to put this in the favorite chapter of this book for me is Lordy, Lordy, I have become my mother. Because, when we're younger or a young adults, oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to be totally different from her. I'm going to take the good things, but the things I think that are negative or bad, I'm not going to do that. Then you turn around, you look and you say, you know what? I'm doing exactly what I said I wasn't going to do. I'm doing exactly what my mother was doing, saying the things that she said, even though I said I'll never do that. So it's a very intricate, dynamic, hard to understand relationship.
Are you a grandmother?
No, I'm not, and I don't know what
Oh.
my son is waiting on.
Well,
And
okay.
I had to step away from that too. Like, she would make a good wife and mother. Had to step back.
The reason I brought that up is because I was going to ask you if you felt different with the grandkids. Do you know what I mean? Because the dynamic always seems to be different. The mother and the child is one relationship, the grandmother and the grandchild is completely different. It seems to be the way that they're treated, the way that they relate to them. So I was just going to ask you that, but well, maybe he'll get busy, you know.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Fortman, we got to wrap this up. Unfortunately, our time is up. Do you have a website that you want to give out?
Yes, yes. It's www.drjanicespeaks.com, and that's www.drjanicespeaks.com. SpeakSjanice.com. drjanicespeaks.com. And you can order my book from my website.
Great. Thanks so much for coming on the show. It was nice meeting you. Really enjoyed our conversation, and I got to say, you look fabulous.